In the crucible of the Pacific Theater during the Second World War, as the sun rose over coral atolls and dense jungles, a single instrument of precise lethal power would come to shape the fate of battles and haunt the nightmares of an entire army. This was not merely a tool of war, it was a symbol, a concentrated embodiment of human ingenuity, perseverance, and the unforgiving logic of survival. From the distant heartlands of the United States to the sun-drenched islands of the Pacific, its presence commanded respect, inspired confidence, and instilled fear. Across the jagged coastlines and dense undergrowth of the Japanese-occupied territories, whispers among soldiers spoke of a rifle whose accuracy and stopping power seemed almost preternatural, capable of striking from distances previously considered beyond the reach of ordinary infantry. It was a weapon whose reputation transcended the mere mechanics of bullets and triggers, entering the realm of legend. Tales of single marksmen altering the course of skirmishes, of entire patrols felled silently before they could retaliate, circulated among both allies and adversaries. Its impact on morale proved as decisive as its impact on flesh and steel. Where the rifle appeared, enemy soldiers moved with heightened caution, forced to abandon established strategies, rethink entrenched positions, and confront the stark realization that their adversary could strike with unwavering precision from afar. Yet this rifle did not emerge from the void of imagination. It was born from necessity, tempered by industrial ambition and the relentless pursuit of perfection. Its story entwines with the broader narrative of the Second World War, illuminating the intersection of innovation, strategic foresight, and human courage. By examining the birth and evolution of this rifle, one uncovers not merely the tale of a weapon, but the story of how technology reshaped the theater of war, how individual ingenuity could redefine mass conflict, and how a single firearm came to embody the ethos of a nation under siege. In the end, this is a story of fear and respect, of survival and ingenuity, of a rifle whose shadow loomed over the Pacific long before its first bullet was discharged. In the early decades of the 20th century, the world teetered on the precipice of unprecedented conflict. Industrial powers across the globe had armed themselves with the fruits of mechanized innovation, yet despite vast arsenals, infantry weapons lagged behind the demands of modern warfare. In the United States, the Army faced a paradox. While its industrial capacity rivaled any in the world, its infantry rifles remained inadequate for the emerging realities of combat. Military theorists recognized that future wars would not merely be fought in open fields, but in dense forests, urban environments, and across vast expanses of rugged terrain. Yet doctrine clung stubbornly to the familiar bolt-action rifles, designed for mass volley fire and defensive positioning, ill-suited to rapid maneuvering or precision engagement. Geopolitical pressures only intensified the urgency for innovation. Across the Pacific, the Empire of Japan expanded its reach, establishing fortified positions on islands and archipelagos, creating a network of bastions from which it projected power. Reports from intelligence operatives and reconnaissance units highlighted a disturbing reality. Japanese forces, adept in jungle warfare and skilled marksmen, could dominate close quarters with ease. Standard-issue rifles, while reliable, lacked the firepower and accuracy required to neutralize such threats decisively. Training programs emphasized marksmanship, yet American troops often found themselves outgunned, particularly at medium and long ranges, where the bolt-action rifles could neither respond with speed nor strike with the precision demanded. Industrial weaknesses compounded these tactical deficiencies. While production of traditional rifles could be scaled efficiently, the development of a new firearm demanded significant experimentation, skilled labor, and access to rare alloys. Ammunition posed another challenge. Cartridges had to balance penetration, recoil, and ballistic stability, all while being suitable for mass production. In laboratories and armories across the United States, designers grappled with the problem of reconciling technological ambition with logistical practicality. The pressure was immense, for time was not a luxury the nation could afford. As the global climate darkened, military planners recognized that the coming conflict would favor weapons that could tip the balance through precision and reliability. The United States understood that a rifle capable of accurate, rapid, and lethal fire could not merely supplement its infantry, it could define it. The world before the invention was a place of tension, imbalance, and necessity. Soldiers trained with rifles that were, in the words of contemporary critics, adequate but insufficient, and generals dreamed of a weapon that could extend the reach of individual courage, transforming isolated acts of skill into decisive tactical advantage. In this crucible of strategic urgency and industrial pressure, the seeds for the rifle that would terrify Japanese soldiers were sown, awaiting the ingenuity of men willing to challenge convention and redefine the limits of the battlefield. The creation of a rifle capable of altering the course of conflict demanded minds both inventive and unyielding. At the heart of this endeavor stood a cadre of engineers and military visionaries, men whose upbringing, education, and experience converged upon a singular objective: to craft a weapon that would reconcile precision, reliability, and mass production. Among these figures, one emerged with particular prominence: a man whose early fascination with firearms and meticulous understanding of ballistics would guide the project from conception to fruition. Raised amidst the mechanical hum of factories and the disciplined order of military academies, he understood both the physical and intellectual demands of weapon design. His collaborators, a mix of civilian engineers and military officers, contributed complementary expertise. Some specialized in metallurgy, exploring alloys capable of withstanding repeated stress without deforming. Others focused on trigger mechanisms, devising systems that allowed for smooth, consistent operation under varying conditions. These men debated passionately over the core principles of the rifle. Should it favor rate of fire over accuracy? Should the caliber maximize penetration or reduce recoil? Each proposal carried weight, yet none could satisfy the dual demands of battlefield efficacy and industrial feasibility. The intellectual path toward the eventual design was marked by tension between tradition and innovation. Advocates of conventional bolt-action mechanisms insisted on time-tested reliability, citing decades of service and familiarity. Reformers, however, argued that incremental improvements would never suffice in the modern theater, where speed, precision, and the psychological impact of accurate long-range fire could determine the fate of entire engagements. The resulting dialogue was fierce and unrelenting, with prototype models often failing to meet the rigorous standards set by both engineers and soldiers. Amid these trials, small breakthroughs began to crystallize: modifications to barrel rifling, improved bullet stability, allowing for consistent accuracy over distances previously unattainable. Adjustable sights enabled marksmen to adapt to diverse environmental conditions, from humid jungles to windswept islands. Innovations in stock design reduced fatigue during prolonged engagements, ensuring that soldiers could maintain precision even after hours of continuous operation. Every refinement reflected not only mechanical insight, but a profound understanding of human endurance, psychology, and the unpredictable nature of combat. The vision of these designers extended beyond the immediate conflict. They imagined a rifle that could be carried, maintained, and employed effectively by a single soldier, transforming individual skill into strategic advantage. They foresaw a weapon that would instill confidence in its operator and dread in its adversary. It was a vision forged not merely in laboratories or armories, but in the shared aspiration to create a tool of war capable of reshaping the very dynamics of combat. In their determination, creativity, and attention to the minutiae of ballistics and ergonomics, the foundation for a weapon that would soon terrify Japanese soldiers was irrevocably laid. The moment of transformation from concept to tangible reality began in the armories and laboratories of the United States, where the first prototypes were meticulously assembled. Initial models were crude, combining traditional bolt-action elements with experimental features intended to enhance accuracy and ease of use. Engineers labored over minute details: the tension of springs, the alignment of sights, the harmonics of barrel vibration under repeated discharge. Each iteration revealed unforeseen challenges, from jamming mechanisms to inconsistent bullet velocity, yet each failure yielded critical knowledge. A pivotal decision concerned the choice of ammunition. Designers experimented with multiple calibers, seeking a balance between lethality, recoil management, and penetration. The optimal round had to travel accurately over hundreds of meters while maintaining sufficient energy to neutralize an opponent decisively. Ballistic tests were conducted under controlled conditions and replicated in simulated battlefield environments, where engineers and soldiers observed trajectory, impact, and reliability. Through these trials, the ammunition became inseparable from the rifle itself, a symbiotic partnership defining both performance and reputation. Production hurdles threatened to derail the project. The rifle's complex machining requirements demanded precision beyond the capabilities of many existing factories. Yet the determination of industrial leaders, combined with the ingenuity of machinists and assembly workers, overcame these obstacles. Specialized jigs, milling machines, and rifling techniques were developed, allowing the weapon to be manufactured at scale without sacrificing quality. Even small refinements such as the smoothing of the stock or the hardening of the bolt required coordination between designers, craftsmen, and military inspectors. Official adoption marked a watershed moment. The United States Army recognized the weapon not merely as a rifle, but as an instrument capable of redefining infantry tactics. Training manuals were rewritten, units reorganized, and logistics chains adapted to accommodate the new standard. Early deployments allowed soldiers to familiarize themselves with the rifle's capabilities, instilling confidence through controlled exercises and simulated engagements. Reports from these initial trials highlighted a common theme. The rifle's accuracy, reliability, and ergonomic design exceeded expectations, promising to tip the scales of combat in favor of the user. The birth of this weapon was more than a technological achievement. It was a triumph of persistence, collaboration, and visionary thinking. Each bolt tightened, each cartridge loaded, each test conducted was a step toward a rifle that could alter the human calculus of war. From the first prototypes to the finalized model, every element reflected a synthesis of theoretical insight, mechanical ingenuity, and battlefield necessity. By the time it entered official service, the rifle embodied a convergence of intellect, labor, and foresight, prepared to meet the crucible of conflict and impose its formidable presence upon the theaters of the Pacific. The true measure of any weapon lies not in laboratories or armories, but on the battlefield, where chaos, fear, and human frailty intersect with steel and gunpowder. For the American rifle that would come to haunt Japanese soldiers, this crucible arrived in the early campaigns of the Pacific Theater. The dense jungles of Guadalcanal, the scorched sands of Peleliu, and the rain-soaked trails of Bougainville became proving grounds where theory collided with brutal reality. Here, under the oppressive heat and relentless humidity, soldiers learned that this rifle was not merely a tool of survival, it was an instrument capable of redefining engagement itself. In the first encounters, the difference between this rifle and its predecessors became immediately apparent. Infantry units equipped with standard bolt-action rifles struggled with accuracy beyond moderate ranges, while the new firearm allowed marksmen to engage targets with surgical precision at distances that were previously considered perilous. The sharp crack of a single bullet echoed through the canopy, leaving Japanese soldiers bewildered and demoralized. Commanders reported that entrenched positions once regarded as secure could be neutralized by an unseen hand from afar. The psychological impact rivaled the physical. Every patrol advanced with heightened caution, every movement calculated against the possibility of being observed and struck by an invisible adversary. Field reports provide a vivid account of the rifle's baptism under fire. In one engagement on a narrow jungle trail, a patrol of Japanese soldiers advanced under the dense foliage, confident in their numerical advantage. From a concealed position 50 meters away, a single American marksman engaged them. His shots were deliberate, unhurried, and precise, each one finding its mark with uncanny consistency. Within moments, the patrol faltered, confusion spreading as soldiers sought cover from an enemy they could neither see nor anticipate. By the time reinforcements arrived, the patrol had dispersed, casualties inflicted with terrifying efficiency. Soldiers equipped with the rifle learned to exploit its unique strengths. Its weight and balance allowed for extended periods of aiming without fatigue, while the adjustable sights provided unparalleled flexibility in varying terrain and light conditions. Training emphasized patience and precision, encouraging marksmen to identify the most critical targets, neutralizing enemy leaders, machine gun crews, and supply lines before they could influence the battle. Engagements that would have devolved into chaotic firefights were instead resolved with methodical effectiveness, turning the tide in skirmishes that might otherwise have ended in disaster. The rifle's performance in these initial conflicts also revealed subtle lessons about human adaptation and ingenuity. Operators learned to utilize natural concealment, leveraging the rifle's quiet bolt-action mechanism to avoid detection. The psychological impact on Japanese forces became a recurring theme. Whispers of a ghost rifle capable of striking at will spread through encampments, sapping morale and fostering paranoia. Even experienced officers admitted that the presence of this weapon necessitated a complete re-evaluation of tactics, forcing changes in patrol routes, defensive postures, and reconnaissance methods. By the conclusion of these early campaigns, it was evident that the rifle had fulfilled the vision of its designers. Its combination of precision, ergonomics, and reliable lethality had transformed individual soldiers into decisive actors, capable of shaping entire engagements. From the smallest skirmish to larger strategic operations, the weapon demonstrated a capacity to influence the flow of battle, instill fear in the adversary, and elevate the confidence of its operators. The baptism under fire had validated every hour spent in armories, every theoretical debate, and every design refinement. The rifle was no longer an experiment. It was a harbinger of tactical transformation, a silent yet devastating force that would leave an indelible mark on the history of warfare. The success of the rifle in the Pacific Theater catalyzed a period of rapid expansion and refinement. Factories across the United States, galvanized by wartime urgency, increased production rates exponentially. Skilled machinists worked in tandem with engineers to produce thousands of rifles per month, while modifications and variants were introduced to meet specialized operational requirements. Sniper configurations with enhanced optics allowed for long-range engagements, while lighter models were developed for paratroopers and units operating in challenging terrains. The weapon became not merely a standard-issue rifle but a family of instruments, each tailored to specific combat roles. International awareness of the rifle's effectiveness soon followed. Allies observed its performance in reports and photographs, while neutral observers recognized a paradigm shift in infantry capabilities. The rifle's combination of accuracy and reliability prompted other nations to re-evaluate their own designs, leading to a global discourse on precision marksmanship as a strategic asset. Within the United States, military academies incorporated detailed studies of the weapon into curricula, emphasizing its impact on tactics, logistics, and soldier morale. Field performance across different climates tested the rifle in ways laboratory simulations could not anticipate. In the humid jungles of New Guinea, the weapon's mechanisms proved resilient against corrosion and debris, while its ergonomics allowed for extended operation under oppressive heat. On the frigid Aleutian Islands, lubricants designed to resist freezing ensured functionality even at sub-zero temperatures. Soldiers adapted their techniques to the rifle's strengths, using it in reconnaissance, ambushes, and defensive operations. Reports highlighted that Japanese forces, initially bewildered by its precision, increasingly sought to neutralize its operators, often deploying entire squads to locate the hidden marksman. The rifle's use extended beyond the Pacific. In European theaters, select units employed it for specialized reconnaissance missions, while post-war, surplus models were distributed to allied nations and militias. Its legacy of reliability and accuracy allowed it to remain in service long after the Second World War had ended, providing a standard against which newer designs were measured. In Korea, Vietnam, and other conflicts, soldiers relied upon variants of the rifle, adapting it to local environmental conditions and mission requirements. Each iteration built upon the lessons of prior combat, refining materials, sights, and ergonomics to maintain the balance between lethality and usability. The proliferation of the rifle also influenced tactics at a strategic level. Infantry units equipped with marksmen could suppress enemy positions before assaults, reducing casualties and enhancing operational flexibility. Combined arms strategies incorporated the rifle as both a deterrent and an offensive tool, reshaping the coordination between infantry, artillery, and armor. Across continents and decades, the weapon's presence inspired respect and caution among adversaries, demonstrating that a single well-designed rifle could have ramifications far beyond its immediate sphere of use. Through expansion, adaptation, and multinational deployment, the rifle achieved a form of immortality in the annals of military history. Each variant reflected a response to battlefield experience, environmental challenge, or tactical requirement, demonstrating the enduring relevance of a design conceived in the crucible of necessity. The rifle's journey from a laboratory prototype to a global instrument of war underscores the profound impact that innovation, coupled with rigorous testing and visionary design, can exert on both individual soldiers and the broader strategic landscape. As the decades passed, technological evolution threatened to render the rifle obsolete. Newer semi-automatic and automatic firearms promised greater rates of fire, lighter weight, and modular adaptability. Yet despite these advances, the rifle persisted, enduring in environments where newer designs faltered. Its longevity was not born of sentimentality, but of unassailable reliability, precision, and adaptability. Even in late-century conflicts, when cutting-edge weaponry dominated the arsenals of conventional armies, this rifle remained a weapon of choice for specialized units, border patrols, and irregular forces. The rifle's continued utility can be traced to the fundamental principles of its design. Its accuracy allowed marksmen to neutralize threats at distances where automatic weapons were less effective. Its simplicity of maintenance enabled operation in austere conditions, from remote mountain passes to tropical riverine environments, where electronic or gas-operated rifles might fail. Soldiers appreciated the tactile feedback of its mechanism, the satisfying engagement of its trigger, and the certainty that a well-placed shot would achieve its intended effect. In many cases, the rifle outperformed newer systems when reliability under duress mattered more than sheer volume of fire. Malicious and irregular forces found particular value in the weapon. In regions marked by political instability and limited access to modern armaments, the rifle served as a force equalizer, allowing small units to exert influence disproportionate to their numbers. Its reputation alone conferred psychological advantage. Opponents familiar with its history approached engagements with caution, anticipating the possibility of lethal, unseen precision. Even in contemporary military circles, instructors continued to highlight the rifle as an exemplar of marksmanship and disciplined engagement, a standard against which modern firearms were often measured. Adaptation extended the rifle's relevance beyond traditional combat. Specialized units in counterinsurgency operations utilized sniper variants to gather intelligence, support tactical maneuvers, and deter enemy movement. Law enforcement and paramilitary groups employed it for precision tasks requiring controlled, effective fire. Each application underscored the timeless value of a weapon designed with meticulous attention to ergonomics, ballistics, and the human interface. Unlike many contemporary systems, whose complexity sometimes hindered effectiveness under real-world conditions, the rifle's straightforward design enabled soldiers to rely on skill rather than sophisticated electronics. The survival of the rifle also carried symbolic weight. It represented a bridge between eras, linking the industrial ingenuity of the Second World War with the demands of late 20th century conflict. Veterans who had wielded it in the Pacific recounted its efficacy with reverence, passing knowledge of its use to new generations. In remote outposts, border regions, and theaters of irregular warfare, the rifle's presence served as a reminder of enduring principles that accuracy, reliability, and disciplined application could triumph over numerical superiority or technological novelty. Even as the world advanced toward increasingly sophisticated armaments, the rifle's persistence reinforced a timeless truth. Effective design, honed by necessity and tempered in the crucible of conflict, can outlast fleeting innovation. It remained a tool of precision, an instrument of fear and respect, and a testament to the vision of its designers. Through decades of transformation, it survived as a weapon capable of influencing battles, shaping tactics, and inspiring both awe and trepidation among those who encountered it on the field of conflict. The enduring legacy of this rifle is woven into the very fabric of military history and collective memory. It stands as a symbol of human ingenuity applied to the art of warfare, an instrument that reconciled precision, reliability, and psychological influence. Its design and deployment reshaped the expectations of infantry engagement, demonstrating that individual skill, when amplified by the right technology, could exert a decisive impact upon the outcome of battles. The rifle became more than a mere instrument of combat. It became an icon, a touchstone for the principles of marksmanship, discipline, and tactical foresight. Culturally, its presence inspired both respect and myth. Among veterans, it was remembered as a companion of survival, a constant in the chaos of combat. Among adversaries, it evoked fear and caution, a testament to the efficacy of innovation in determining the course of conflict. Subsequent firearm designs drew upon its lessons, seeking to replicate the balance it achieved between lethality and usability, precision and endurance. The rifle's influence extended beyond immediate military application, shaping doctrine, training practices, and the very philosophy of infantry engagement. In the final analysis, the rifle embodies the convergence of necessity, creativity, and human determination. It reminds us that warfare is not solely the domain of numbers or machines, but of ideas, executed with skill and persistence. Its shadow loomed over the Pacific, yet its significance transcends any single theater of operations. It stands as a testament to the power of well-conceived design, a symbol of technological and human resilience, and a narrative thread connecting past, present, and future generations of soldiers. The American rifle that terrified Japanese soldiers thus endures, not merely as a weapon, but as an enduring emblem of the extraordinary impact that a single tool, forged with vision and honed in battle, can exert upon the course of history.